G'day and welcome to the Inforunners. I'm Execute. Today I'm joined by the faceless void that is MinionSoldier. How you doing, buddy?
Faceless void. That's a good one.
What else can I call you? I don't know. Hideous beast. Whatever. I don't know.
The animated bars. The animated bars.
Yeah, the bars with no name. All right, yeah. Oh, no, you do have a name. Anyway, so this episode is actually brought to you by Algrid. That's not here. So, in the process of making this video, Algrid got called away on a family matter, but this was actually brought to my attention from him because I was very busy today with some SC League stuff, and he brought it up and he wanted to get an episode out real quick to bring it to your guys' attention, and so Minion got pulled in as well, and the rest is history. But yeah, we're going to do that on his behalf today. So, long story short, there was a post today by Tyler, or Zyloh, as you want to call him, and on the back of the calling all devs great news, there's all this new cool ship news, they dropped this bombshell that they're going to increase the price of the Avenger and the 300i by $5 so that they can just neatly fit the 100i in there at the $600 price point, because it has to be more expensive than the other base starters, but they can't lower the price because they sold it at $60. So they have to increase the price of the Titan and the 300i to make it room for it to fit. And hence we are at this dilemma. So, Minion, what was your first reaction on hearing that news, I guess?
For me, like I kind of looked at it and I just thought, like, okay, so this is totally justification for the 100i series, and I was just like, give everyone who bought a 100i ship, just give them $5 store credit and, you know, lower the price of the ship. That was my original take on it, because I mean, increasing the price of the Avenger Titan and the 300i years later.
Yeah. Well, when you said that, I actually told you and say, well, why does it have to be a round number? Why don't they make it $57.50 or something?
Yeah.
And then I remembered legality and all that stuff, and it's basically they can't, in certain countries, they will be forced to give cash refunds, and that's something they just don't want to do. But I think the real moral of this whole story going through is kind of like where you and me in Algrid were sitting, like, these other ships, so the Titan and the 300i, they're almost not worth an extra $5. They're kind of a lot more expensive than what are they, $20 more than an Aurora?
Yeah, I mean, the way the economy, and I mean, I'm making air quotes here, plays out right now.
I can see you doing it. I can see you doing it from here.
Yeah, with take this with a huge grain of salt, because we know that everything is in motion and so many things can just change out of the blue, as we're clearly seeing right now.
Yeah.
The 300i and the Avenger Titan are okay-ish ships, but I mean, realistically, in Star Citizen right now, if you were to jump into the game, you're like, I've got a 300i, I've got an Avenger Titan. It's like, great, you've got a whole lot of grinding ahead of you before you can actually get out of those ships. If you want those ships just because that's your end game ship, then fine, but they're just not worth it. They're just
kind of speaking of not worth it,
dead ends.
Yeah, they are. Sorry to interrupt, but you're talking about not worth it, and one of the justifications for it in the post is the versatility of the ships. And I think one of the top posts in the thread was on the line, then please explain the versatility of the Cyclones and the other vehicles that are like $55. Like, so you're now saying that a 100i is only $5 more than a Cyclone, and yeah, it doesn't fly, because as you sit here and you really analyze it, it is clearly done because they want it to be more than normal starters, but they want it to be less than these ones, and they were between a rock and a hard place, and the only way to fix that was to increase these. I think, like, for me though, it really comes across as that these are two. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. The 100i for me is the best starter in the game. The 300i, I can take it or leave it. It is very close to the 100i, but you are paying for that luxury stuff. And for me, luxury is just it's not a thing in a video game. It's
I know. It's kind of like if someone were to say to me like, "Oh, your ship has air conditioning," I'd be like, "Okay, what performance increase do I get? Is that like
yeah,
vents, like
yeah.
5% crew stats or something?" No, it's
Okay.
like,
I would say though, sorry to take your example and throw it
yeah.
back at you a bit here, but in Star System, because of the weather effects, like in space, you die because it's more cold. That could actually legitimately be a real thing. Like if you go to a hot planet, it may give you an advantage where you can survive longer. So that's probably a bad example, but sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think like a more pertinent example, even though it was part of the 300 customization thing that they did last year, that I found kind of comical, is that I think you could make a solider case for like, oh, there's the coffee maker, so you don't have to drink as often, or you can just reach back in your ship and just
Yeah.
have a drink, something like that. I could see the bonuses of things like that a little bit more, but in the end, it's the ship that it's still the ship from day one that I looked at and I said, yeah, it looks pretty cool, but what can it really do?
Well, speaking of going back to the beginning a little bit, then let's look at the 100i, because for me, when that came out, I went, why? Why is this ship here? The 300i is a starter ship. Why are they
Yeah.
making another one underneath that? And why isn't it another manufacturer? I still don't quite understand why it's been made. Like, it legitimately looks like a mistake. Like, I don't understand. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, why isn't it
Yeah.
Drake? Why isn't it, well, we've got the Pisces now, but like, I'm trying to think of another manufacturer, but there's a lot in that space, but there are ones that are not there, is what I'm trying to say. Like,
Yeah.
Misk.
Well,
Why isn't it a Misk ship? There you go. Why isn't it any other manufacturer? Why is it Origin when they already have one? And it's just, yeah. That's what I thought back then. What did you think back then, so to speak, with the 100?
When I looked at it, what I thought, and this was always a suspicion that I had, is what happened is when they were redesigning and they were reworking the 300i, someone made that design, and CR just gravitated to it, and he was like, I want that ship made, but I also want the 300i to look like this, so somebody else make that ship and we'll just slot it in a little bit lower. But at the same time, I mean, when people were getting excited about it, I was just kind of, I don't know, I was being a cynic, and I know that some people don't like cynics, but I was just sitting there going, it's an LTI token. And I think that's openly what I called it in an episode. I was like, let's be real, it's just an LTI token.
Yeah. Look, it is like, it's two-part for me, because like, it's not just that it's another starter that didn't need to be there, and I'll kind of talk about what Algrid kind of talked about here when he was talking, and he said it should have been a snub. It shouldn't have been a starter. It should have been seen as a stub. And for him, he thinks it was kind of designed, I don't know, I'm going to put words in his mouth here a little bit, but around the 890 jump, because that's where you'd see it connecting with, wouldn't you? Because he talked about a snub, so I'm just assuming, like, I'm looking at other Origin ships, and the only other really one that kind of sits there is that, but they had the 85X. So now, in that starting category, or let's be generous and say under $100, you have 3 Origin ships.
True, which is weird for a luxury manufacturer, right? That they're like, it's like BMW also makes 3 different kinds of Honda Civic or something down in that price range. It's like, I don't know. It feels a little weird.
All right, well, if you got any other points you want to add, because I think we'll make this one, I don't know, we'll kind of round it off early today, because this is just a little supplemental one that I wanted to do real quick to get that word out there, so you guys are aware. They are talking about the price will actually increase by $5 for those ships. The Avenger
in 311, I believe.
At 311. So that the rumor is that it will be going live. Oh, not live. Sorry, PTU any day now. But you'd expect with CitizenCon around the corner, it'll be live by CitizenCon. So if you do want to pick these ships up, or a CCU, which is probably what I'd recommend, and just sit on it, you've got till then to do so. But yeah, anything else you'd like to add, Minion?
I mean, with 100i, I mean, or even a 300 or an Avenger, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump to a Cutlass. Really, come on.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When they've put it up by that much, it really does. You almost got to question: is that why they've done it too? Because now, it's only you've just gone up $10. Why not 10 more and 10 more after that?
Yeah, true.
You know?
I mean, yeah.
But I think they're a little bit of their, what do you call it? I can't think of the term. You know, your own success is your downfall. I'm trying to think of that term, but
Yeah.
they priced all those ships so long ago that now that they're trying to squeeze them all in, and
they're kind of trapped by their old pricing. I mean, that is true.
And that's even more obvious, say, around the $200 price point when you've got all those fighters, and then instantly only $20 more, and that becomes something very large, like a Constellation or a Star Runner. So, this space is a little clustered down here too, but not to the same degree. Look, I don't think it should have been increased by $5. I think they should have just sold it at $60. But the problem is, no one would buy it at $60 when you can buy. When you can buy
exactly
buy the 300i. So maybe they should have just made it 55 or 50 and just lived with it. And that's not what they want to do, because they clearly know other people will pick other ships if they're at that price point. And as I said, a failure of their own success. So I don't agree, and I'm not happy with what they've done. They should have not made it to start with. I'll leave it at that.
Well, yeah. I could think of a few ships that could have slotted into that production slot.
Yep, more than a few, like ones that people have already brought, but they don't make more money, do they? So yeah. All right, he's been MinionSoldier. I've been Execute. If you like this video, please like it. If you dislike it, feel free to do so as well. Leave us a comments and your thoughts on what you think of this price increase, the 100i in general. Will you still recommend the Avenger and things like the 300i to your friends? What's your guys' take on it as well? And we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks to our patrons and all that. And yeah, as I said, see you in the next one. Bye.
See you.